Well, hello there, and I do hope you're all well. Yes, this is the first day back from whatever they've been doing, gallivanting, wherever the MPs, whatever they've been doing. Anyway, this is Lee Anderson of Ashford. I'd probably say in well, I know he does in his drivel of nonsense where he does whatever he can to make an absolute tit of himself. So I'm not going to talk anymore. Let's just let Lee Anderson, should I say, make a tit of himself.
Yeah. Now then, nobody should feel unsafe in their streets or in their homes, which is why I think preventing crime is probably the most important part of this Queen's speech. And each time we have a debate on this subject in this place, it always seems that
Yes, this is the government who, how many years since they've been in power, they cut police by 21,000.
the Labour Party seem to side with the criminals. And I'm not sure yet why that's...
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, side with the criminals. Yeah, this is hilarious.
But it always seems to happen every single time. And the Queen's speech, it serves as a bit of a reminder to everyone here that we are the only party who's serious about law and order.
You also have you also are the party that has a prime minister that's just broken the law
In the UK. It's true. Now, the vast majority of decent, hard-working people in this country will welcome the new public order bill, because we see these mindless people almost on a weekly basis now. They've got nothing better to do.
Who are these mindless people?
Than wreak havoc on our streets, on motorways, at petrol stations, and quite frankly, the hard-working people of this country are fed up to the back teeth of these people disrupting their very ways of life and destroying our property time and time again. And I've seen them myself when I've been out and about. They've been gluing themselves to property.
Yeah, in other words, them people who are, trying to save the environment. Yes, that's who he's on about.
Digging up lawns, throwing paint around, performing zombie-like dances in the middle of the road with no regards for decent, hard-working...
Yes, falling over kiddies' swings when they're absolutely wankered when they come out of number 10 Downing Street.
People in this country, yes, zombie dancers, a bit like Strangers Bar at night time with the Honourable Member.
Yeah, like Bodger when he falls over his kiddie swing when he's rat-arsed.
Member for Stoke-on-Trent North, talking kids go from wherever he is. But they've got no regards for decent, hard-working people in this country, and they're guerrilla-type tactics.
Yes, he's clearly trolling our Bodge, isn't he? He's clearly talking about our Bodge, his boss.
They're disrupting emergency workers and putting people's lives at risk.
Does he have any evidence of these people stopping emergency workers? I bet he am.
Public have had enough. Now, we're pretty good at handing out fines during the pandemic, during lockdown. We're dishing out big fines. I think some are justified, and some not. But I would hope the government would look at handing out some bigger fines to these public nuisance.
Yeah, like Boris Johnson, who was breaking the law on a number of occasions.
Who think it's a good idea to damage petrol stations. I suggest a £10,000 fine going upwards to about 20 grand.
Yes, I totally agree. £10,000 going upwards for our Bodge for breaking the law.
That'll teach them, I think. When they go back to mum and dad with these 10 grand fines, that might be the deterrent that they actually need. But let's just remind ourselves what we've been up to as a party in government.
Is he having a laugh?
We're recruiting 20,000 new police officers, and I think we're already over...
Yeah, after you've got rid of 21,000. What a bell tap.
13,000 new police officers on our streets, making our streets safer. We've enshrined the Police Crime and Sentencing Courts Act into law, giving police extra powers to prevent crimes and keep dangerous
in other words, to stop you from protesting
criminals off our streets. And this act, it stops the automatic early release of dangerous, violent and sexual offenders and widens the scope for police powers such as stop and search, and places a legal...
Has he ever read the Secret Barrister's books? He's having a laugh.
on local authorities to actually work together with the Fire and Rescue Service, the police and criminal justice agencies. And Labour voted against this. And I tell you what else they voted against. Well, they voted against everything in the Police and Crime Bill. But in Ashfield, we're really benefiting from a Conservative government. We've just...
Now, this is where it gets really, really funny. Now, when it comes to poverty, it's nothing to do with the Conservative government. It's your fault.
Had £550,000 through the Safer Streets Fund. And this is going to put CCTV up in some real dodgy areas I've got in my town. This is going to make women and young girls feel safe. There's going to be safe hotspots where they can reach out for help.
Yeah, just these women, make sure you don't go anywhere near a Conservative place in the House of Commons because you're liable to be sexually assaulted.
And it's wonderful news for one of the most deprived areas of my constituency. We're putting up new security gates from the fund, which will secure alleyways. These are, again, ASP hotspots. These are making people, residents, feel safe in their own homes. This is real action. And on top of that, we've got new police officers with the Operation Reacher teams in Eastwood, in Ashfield. These are going out and these are taking the most undesirable people off our streets and locking them up. But the police have always been a little bit frustrated that the sentencing has not been enough for these criminals. But we've sorted that through this new bill. You know, people can get locked up for longer. You know what? And I say, so they should be. It makes people
That's if we can find a court open.
Feel safer in Ashfield and Eastwood. It makes me feel safer and it makes my family feel safer. And it's only right that when these criminals are arrested and taken to the police station and taken through the court system, they should be put away for as long as possible and make us all feel safe. But Labour have also got no idea about the illegal crossings, the dinghies, the boats coming over the channel. They seem to be confused, Mr Deputy Speaker. They don't know the difference between an economic migrant and a genuine asylum seeker.
Go on, Lee, enlighten us. What's the difference between a refugee and an asylum seeker, or a legitimate migrant, and all that stuff?
It's a shame, really. You know, you can come and have a chat with me and my constituents in Ashfield. They'll put you right. Come up to my Witherspoons in Kirkby, and they'll tell you the difference, and they're pretty good at it. I'll gladly give way.
The member is saying that people on this side of the House don't know the difference between economic migrants and genuine, as he calls them, asylum seekers.
That's right. Economic migrants, that was the word I was trying to get out.
Then the Home Office doesn't either, because the Home Office has concluded that the vast majority of those people in those boats are refugees and should be recognised as such. So what's he got to say to the Home Secretary?
I'll thank
Boom, have it!
I thank Honourable Lady for the intervention. I think that's a fault of the old failing asylum system, where people, when they get here, they know how to fill the forms out.
Yeah, that was the fault of a Labour Party from 1632, an old legislation. Yeah, it's always Labour's fault for whatever, you know. Somebody's cut his hair wrong, yeah, Jeremy Corbyn's fault.
They've got these lefty lawyers that say put this and this and this.
Yeah, lefty lawyers using laws that have been set up by this government.
Forms out, and hey presto, about 80% get asylum status, and it's wrong. It's absolute wrong. It's a burden on the taxpayer. They're abusing the system. It's a bit like some benefit cheats. They do it, don't they? They abuse. They say they're disabled and they're not. Yes, they do. They do.
Yeah. Well, he's talking about me. I'm somebody who suffers from mobility problems, so he's calling me a benefits cheat. What a wanker.
So come on, let's be right about it. But make no mistake about it, Mr Deputy Speaker. If that lot got in power, cherish the thought, well, not cherish it, perish the thought. If that lot got in the power, cherish the thought.
Yeah, can't even speak straight now. What a moron.
If that lot got in power, this Rwanda plan would be scrapped within 5 minutes.
Quite rightly and all. Far too expensive for what it's worth.
They want to see open borders. They want to let anybody in.
You confirmed it now.
I'll gladly give way to the member for Stoke-on-Trent.
You confirmed it now.
But make no mistake, the Rwanda plan would be scrapped. Would be scrapped within 5 minutes of that lot getting in power. But I welcome the comments made by the member for St Helens North, who's not in his place right now, but he made some sensible comments on food bank use, Mr Deputy Speaker. But I'd welcome.
Oh, this is a belter. If you're using a food bank, it's nothing to do with Conservative fault. It's your fault.
anybody on the opposite benches to come and visit Ashfield, to my food bank, which I help out on a regular basis, and we've got a great project in
Yeah, bless his cotton picking socks. Helping the poor in food banks.
place at the moment where I'd rather give way.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. My old friend from Ashfield would know that there are two elements to most sentences. Rehabilitation, which is really important because we can rehabilitate criminals in prisons and put them back on the streets, hopefully reformed characters, but also deterrence. Does he agree with me that deterrence is an important function of any sentence, and that actually longer sentences may well have the deterrent effect of saying to people, think twice, please, before you commit that crime?
I think my honourable friend for his intimate.
Let's be honest. When you're going to commit a crime, the last thing you're thinking, is it worth it, me committing this crime? You do it because you think it, basically, you don't think about the consequences. What a tit.
Mention, he makes a good point. Not only is it a great deterrent, but the longer they're locked up in prison, then that's the longer amount of time they cannot commit these horrible crimes. So he makes a perfect point. But I go back to my point made about the
It's all right saying that, Lee. But what do they do after they get out of prison? Once they've got a criminal record, how they're supposed to get a job? You absolute bell tap.
Member St Helens North, who made some great comments about food banks. But my invitation is to everybody on that side of the house. Come to Ashfield and work with me for a day in my food bank and see the brilliant scheme we've got in place, where when people come now for a food parcel, they have to register for a budgeting course and a cooking course. And what we do at the food bank, we show them how to cook cheap and nutritious.
Yeah, show them how to cook cheap and nutritious food. Don't worry about the fact that you probably won't be able to afford to start your oven to cook it. What a bell tap.
Meals on a budget. We can make a meal for about 30 pence a day, and this.
Yeah, there you go. I'd love to know what he eats for 30 pence a day.
Is cooking from scratch. We're glad to give way.
Now this guy asks him a great question. Absolutely destroys everything he says, and then he just carries on prattling on his complete and utter drivel.
The honourable member for giving way. Can you answer me a simple question? Should it be necessary to have food banks in 21st century Britain?
Exactly. I remember before the Conservative Party got into power, there were less food banks than what there were McDonald's.
Thank you, the honourable gentleman, for his intervention. He makes a great point, and this is exactly my point. So I invite you personally to come to Ashfield, look at our food bank, how it works, and I think you'll see firsthand that there's not this massive use for food banks in this country. We've got generation after generation who cannot cook properly. They can't cook a meal.
Yeah. The reason why you're poor, it's your fault, because you can't cook properly.
From scratch. They cannot budget. The challenge is there. Come, I'll offer anybody. You sat there with glazed expressions on your faces, looking at me like.
No, the reason why they've got glazed expressions and looking at you with the rabbit in the headlights look, because they think, you're a complete and utter, complete bell sniff.
Like I've landed from a different planet. Come
Yeah,
to
you
Ashfield,
have.
come next week, come the week after, come to a real food bank that's making a real difference to people's lives.
Yeah, come to a real
And I'm not
food
in now,
bank.
Mr Deputy Speaker.
Yeah, thank
because,
God.
they're not listening. These are a generation of MPs that never listen. But the good news is, well, it's bad news actually, because this Labour Party, that they're out of control, they're out of touch, and thankfully, they're out of power. That's me done, Mr Deputy Speaker.
What an absolute clown. Spent how many minutes talking about how wonderful his food bank is, and then some MP jumps up, destroys his whole argument, and says, should we be having food banks in the 21st century? And then he just, yeah, great point actually, but come to my food bank, we'll show you how wonderful it's doing, because we're feeding the poor on a meal that's worth 30 pence. You absolute bell tap. But you've got to remember, you should thank Lee Anderson and his ilk, because they saved us from 10 years of Labour government that was absolutely doing catastrophic disaster to our country under the horrendous leadership of Jeremy Corbyn and his Trotskyite commie loons. Oh, that's right, it was the Conservative Party. What an absolute idiot. And there'll be people in his constituent who'll be loving every minute of that. Sorry, if there'll be people out there watching this who'll be getting angry. Why are you laughing? Because it's my defence mechanism. I cannot help but laugh at complete bell-tap stupid people. Right, I shall leave the video. Until the next time, I shall bid you farewell and take care.